But what am I going to talk about? So let's have a look. First, I will give you a short intro on the now and a little bit of next, but I'll come to that at the very end of tech. But then it's about those value-led propositions that promise success. And what are they? They are trust, they're quality, but they're also addressing unique use cases. And I'll go into more detail for each of those. But let's start with the state of the tech and global market. The now, where are we today? And I want to take a look at basically the long-term perspective of how our markets have developed. And it's a global perspective. So as you know, I'm Norbert, I'm from GfK. We are tracking a lot of products around the world. Don't forget this picture is always without North America so that you don't get confused. And what you can see here in the line is the growth rate of all the products in the tech and global market that we track. When the restrictions fade out, people went out again, priorities changed, the choices of the consumer changed again. And what about now? What about the normalization phase, where we are in right now? Well, actually, everybody's talking about a bit of how depressed the market is, how negative the market is, but I want to point you at the fact that we are already hit the low of growth rate and we're already going up again. In May 2023, we just see a small minus 1% compared to last year. So we are improving, we are going back to a growth trajectory versus last year. And that's what we will see in the coming months, a few months with green plus signs again for the first time. But what about the consumer? Yes, the consumer is affected. Some are more, some are less, and they are definitely polarizing a lot. A lot of people are taking actions to save money. You can see 48% of consumers postponing purchases, 35% of consumers going from name brands to more cheaper brands potentially. And overall, when we take all those measures, we saw 85% of consumers who took any kind of saving opportunities. But there's also the other side. There's also other consumers who are not affected, who are still very much interested in purchasing aspirational products. And we can see 42% still say, I just got to pay more for products that make my life easier. And again, the choices have changed due to the crisis that we see. People have different priorities, but they're still spending. And when we take the long-term picture, you can see again the global picture of sales here. We can see that this year it's a -7, right? May is -1, but overall for January it's -7. It's still kind of a depressing number. When we compare it to 2019, we actually see still a slight 2% plus. What does that mean? We didn't go into a huge up curve and then we went below the previous benchmark. No, we just went up. We went below, but we didn't actually cross the 2019 line yet. So we're still above that. So we have a quite healthy business out there. Why? Again, because choices change. You can see it clearly for IT, I just say office at the home, right, home office, and for SDA cooking, a different market. Consumers created a different and a bigger market. There's one downside, CE, TVs, there we don't see that. We see a really tough and transforming market there. We have to be honest about that. Okay, so where do we stand? Where does the consumer stand today? It's about uncertainty, right? Inflation, political instability, political polarization, think about US, China, and on top of all of that, climate change, which is wrecking our minds a lot. What can be success factors for the future? What are consumers looking for? They look for peace of mind, for certainty, basically. How can we, as an industry, provide that? And this is the point I'm going to talk about. Trust, quality, and also addressing individual needs and use cases. Let me start with the trust. Brands come into play here. Brands are super important to provide that trust to consumers. We know that. And I'll give you a couple of examples of what I mean Secondly, the future of brand will heavily be influenced also by the sustainable way these brands are perceived. Alright, we can look at brands from different perspectives. Let's start with a simple, what are people buying perspective, what are retailers selling perspective, and we classify different brands here. One, dominating brands. So we look at each kind of country around the globe, you know, let's say France, TV, and we look, is there a brand that has more than 30% market share? If yes, then we group this together with other segments that have the same. So all the brands that show in a specific country and product group more than 30%, we call it a dominating brand. The same with leading brands and recognized brands, which have smaller market shares. Now, which of those are performing better and which are performing not as good? And we can clearly see that those dominating brands are performing above the benchmark. Same for the leading brands. And smaller market share brands actually have a tougher life. So clearly, brands, and especially dominating strong brands, very well recognized brands, provide the trust, provide a lot of confidence to the consumer in these times where they look for it. But that's just a sell-out kind of perspective, right? What's the consumer telling us about his choices? What does he feel? What's important when he makes a choice for a consumer tech product? And we ask that. Every quarter we have a huge amount of people we ask who are buying tech products. What is your most important, one of your most important reasons for your final choice? And of course, we all know price is important, promotion is important, but also brand is important. And when we compare 2019 to 2023, isn't it a fair hypothesis that we would believe price will probably be much more important for the consumer in his choice of a tech product? Actually, it's not. Actually, it's not. Price is most important. Price is king, we know that. But it's not increasingly important when consumers take a decision for a tech product. Promotions, also important. People look for it, we know that. People wait for it. But it's still a hygiene factor, right? It's still a hygiene factor. And brands, also pretty stable, you would say, but in terms of the direction that it's going, it's even slightly more important. You may say, yes, data is probably varying a little bit. Just to give you a little bit of confidence, we talk about, when you look at those two bars, of more than 600,000 interviews. So the numbers are pretty robust here, and the trend is not to be overemphasized, but brand is definitely not getting less important these days. And coming to sustainability, the new fuel for brands in the future. The first question usually is, why should I care? Why should I care? And the answer is, from consumers, they expect it. It's 73% of consumers expect companies, particularly, retailers left, companies, to take environmental friendly actions. And that is the highest agreement we see in all kinds of statements we ask for sustainability. Gen X, that's my generation, is particularly important here. And why is Gen X in general important? Because it has a very high purchasing power actually for the tech industry.